Deep in the forest, where morning mist clings to ancient oaks like forgotten dreams, something small and green begins to stir. This is the story of Caterpie. In the oldest woodlands of Kanto, where sunlight filters through canopies so thick they create eternal twilight on the forest floor, there lives a creature no bigger than a human hand. Caterpie, the worm Pokémon, spends its days climbing the tallest trees in search of fresh leaves, its tiny suction cup feet gripping bark and branch with surprising strength. Most travelers pass through these woods without ever noticing the small green bodies inching along overhead. But those who look closely discover something remarkable. A creature born with an extraordinary gift for survival. Our Caterpie lived on a massive oak tree that had stood for 300 years at the heart of a protected grove. Every morning, it would climb from the roots to the highest branches, following the same path its ancestors had traveled for generations. The journey took hours, but Caterpie never minded. Up high, the leaves were tender and sweet, untouched by the creatures that prowled below. But one autumn morning, everything changed. A young ranger named Maya arrived at the grove before dawn, her boots crunching through fallen leaves as she surveyed the damage. Half the ancient trees had been marked with red paint, scheduled for removal to make way for a new hiking trail. "They want to cut through here," she murmured, her voice heavy with concern. "This is the last old growth section in the entire reserve." Caterpie watched from above as this strange human paced beneath its home tree. It had seen humans before, but they usually moved quickly, never stopping, never looking up. This one was different.
I just can't make sense.
She
of
sat
this.
at the base of the oak and
Wait,
pulled
this
out
symbol, does
papers
that mean-
covered in strange markings,
No, that's not right.
shaking her head as she read. When Maya finally looked up, her eyes met Caterpie's for just a moment. She smiled sadly. "At least someone still lives here," she said. "I wonder how many of you
Don't
will
be
lose your
scared.
homes."
It's okay. I'm not gonna
Something
hurt you.
stirred in Caterpie's small heart. It didn't understand human words, but it understood the weight in her voice, the same heaviness it felt when storms tore branches from trees, or when cold seasons claimed the weaker members of its colony. That night, machines arrived at the edge of the grove. Their rumbling shook the ground and sent vibrations through every trunk and root. Caterpie clung to its branch as leaves rained down around it. For the first time in its life, the forest felt dangerous. By morning, the first tree had fallen. Time 100 and Caterpie made a decision that defied every instinct it possessed. Instead of climbing higher, instead of hiding in the canopy where it was safe, it began to descend. Down past familiar knotholes and comfortable resting spots. Down past the midway point where it usually stopped to feed. Down toward the forest floor where predators lurked and danger waited. It had to find the human with the sad voice. The journey was terrifying. Twice, Caterpie sensed movement nearby and released the horrible stench from its bright red antenna, the defensive smell that had protected its kind for countless generations. The odor drove away curious creatures, but left Caterpie exhausted, its small body trembling against the bark. When it finally reached the ground, the world seemed impossibly vast. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every sound could signal danger.
Keep going. You're
But
almost
Caterpie
there.
pressed forward, following some instinct it couldn't name, searching for Maya among the chaos of workers and machines. It found her standing before the oldest oak, the one Caterpie called home, arguing with a man in a hard hat.
This is a construction zone. Move.
"There has to be another
We
way,"
won't let them take
Maya
this
insisted.
forest.
"This tree is over 3 centuries old. We can reroute the trail."
Caterpie.
The man shook his head. "Decision's
You're
been
quite
made.
persistent,
We
little
start
one.
cutting tomorrow at dawn." As Maya turned away in defeat, she nearly stepped on the small green creature at her feet.
Oh my.
She gasped,
Are
kneeling
you
down
real?
slowly. "You," she whispered. "You came down from the tree." Caterpie looked up at her, antenna waving, and made a choice that would change both their lives forever. Maya held out her hand, palm up, and Caterpie crawled onto it without hesitation. In that moment, something passed between them, an understanding that transcended the boundaries of species.
You did great, Caterpie.
She could feel its tiny
rest
feet
now.
gripping her skin, could see the way its antenna
protect you.
trembled with exhaustion. "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" Caterpie began to move, climbing up her arm toward her shoulder, then wounding its body insistently toward the canopy of the great oak. Maya followed its gaze upward, squinting into the morning light that filtered through the ancient leaves. That's when she saw them. Dozens of silk structures hung from the branches, delicate white casings that caught the light like morning frost. More Caterpie moved among them, tending to what Maya suddenly realized was an entire colony, generations of life woven into the fabric of this single tree. "Oh," she breathed. "There's a whole community up there." But the discovery brought no comfort. The machines were already warming up at the grove's edge, and the man in the hard hat was checking his watch. Tomorrow at dawn meant they had less than 24 hours.
You're so
Maya spent that day climbing, documenting, photographing everything she could find. Caterpie stayed with her, guiding her to hidden nests and ancient silk trails that marked paths used by its kind for longer than any human had walked these woods. By afternoon, Maya had filled 3 notebooks and 2 memory cards, but the weight in her chest had only grown heavier. "It's not enough," she admitted, sitting at the base of the oak as evening approached. "I can show them what lives here, but that they've already made their decision. Numbers on paper don't change minds." Caterpie watched her shoulders slump, watched hope drain from her face the same way light was draining from the sky. It understood failure. It had watched siblings fall to predators, had seen storms destroy carefully built homes. But it had also learned something in its short life, something that lived in the silk it produced and the paths it climbed. Persistence was the only answer to an uncaring world. As darkness fell, Caterpie began to climb. Maya woke before dawn to a sound she couldn't identify, a soft collective whisper coming from every direction at once. She grabbed her flashlight and stumbled outside her tent, then stopped, her breath catching in her throat. The entire grove was wrapped in silk. Thousands of delicate threads connected tree to tree, branch to branch, creating a massive web that sparkled with morning dew. And there, at the center of it all, Caterpie clung to its oak, surrounded by every member of its colony. They had worked through the night, spinning a tapestry that made their presence impossible to ignore.
It's beautiful.
The workers arrived to find Maya standing before this shimmering monument, her camera already recording. "You can't cut through this," she said, her voice steady now, filled with new conviction, not without destroying something that took all night to build. Something that proves this grove isn't just trees, it's a home. The man in the hard hat stared at the silk-wrapped forest, at the small green creatures watching from every surface, and for the first time, he seemed to truly see them. The trail was rerouted. Months later, a small plaque appeared at the grove's edge, marking it as a protected habitat. Maya visited often, always looking up, always smiling when she spotted a familiar green shape climbing toward the canopy.
Look at you, little one.
Caterpie had learned something that
So
morning,
determined.
something beyond instinct or survival. It had learned that even the smallest creature could make itself seen, could weave its story into the world in ways that demanded attention. Some Pokédex entries note that Caterpie's silk is strong enough to bind objects many times its weight. But perhaps its greatest strength lies not in what it can hold together, but in what it can reveal when given the chance. In the oldest woodlands of Kanto, where sunlight still filters through ancient canopies, a small green creature climbs toward tender leaves. It follows the same path its ancestors traveled, the same path its descendants will travel for generations to come. And sometimes, if you look closely, you can still see the faintest traces of silk catching the morning light. Enjoyed this glimpse into Caterpie's life? Subscribe for more Pokémon documentaries.